Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me well. When I just arrived here, I was seeing in the left hand over there a little child. Maybe you can stand up, or is she already gone? Because I think I'm going to talk to you about inspiration, what you can do for your country. And I think it's an important task for all of you to solve the Icelandic crisis at the moment. But I think you are in a lucky position, because you are maybe in one of the heaviest crises in the world. And then change will come. So that's wonderful. So nearly everybody will follow you and come back to Iceland in 2 or 3 years, and they are going to say, how did you solve this issue? I think that's an important, because we can talk a lot about crisis, and God's sad about it, but I think you have to look a little bit further, and that's what I'm going to talk about with you. How can you solve a crisis? Where do you get inspiration? What kind of discipline you need? And also, what's important, how well connected are you to each other? Because a crisis you can never solve alone. That's an important thing you should think about itself. What I would like to teach you, what companies are doing in changing companies when they are in crisis, but also what a country can do in a crisis. And they are going always to the same steps. It always starts with a big sense of urgency. Urgency, you're never going to change. Probably you have seen the statistics. 3 years ago, the statistics were nearly the same. But you didn't see it, the upswing, so there was not at all urgency. And if N1 has invited you 3 years ago, maybe 10 people or 20 people were here in this room. Now you feel really an urgency. But when you talk about urgency, you can talk about statistics, but you have to feel it also. So I would like to invite that you talk to your neighbor for 2 minutes and tell your neighbor what you feel yourself about this crisis. So not about the numbers of unemployment or loans, but just personal stories, what you feel at this moment for yourself in this country at this moment. So take 2 minutes to talk with your neighbor about your feelings, what you feel about the crisis. Take 2 minutes. I will back in 2 minutes. Okay, I would like to start again. What is the general feeling? Can somebody tell me what's your general feeling? What's the general feeling? How do you feel? Fantastic? Fantastic? Only fantastic stories? Who feels a little bit depressed? You feel
Yeah, well, I say I go from depressed to over-optimistic.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the middle ground.
Okay, let's call a shrink for him because that's
Typical Icelandic.
Typical Icelandic. What other feelings? So depressed, but that's a normal reaction to crisis. Depressed, too much optimistic. What else? What other feelings? Please tell me. Sorry?
It's a chaos.
It's a chaos.
Yeah.
And how do you like chaos?
No.
No.
Not now.
Angry? Angry, chaos, other reactions? Opportunities also?
Excitement.
Excitement? Freedom?
Waiting for a signal.
Waiting for a signal from heaven or from politicians or from a Dutchman or...
There's lack of leadership.
There's lack of leadership. And what does it to you? Lack of leadership, what does it to you?
It makes me angry.
It makes you angry.
Yeah.
New values.
New values.
Belief.
Okay. Stagnation.
Learning a lot.
Learning a lot. So crisis is not that bad at all. No, but I think you should think about this, that crisis is a big opportunity for a country to make the next step. When you're over-optimistic, you're not going to change. When you're angry, you're not going to change because then you're too much focused on yourself. So you have to have an outside look and you have to work together. That's extremely important. But then when you have this sense of urgency, and I feel that you have already the sense of urgency, but what you have to learn also, that maybe 30-40% really feels the sense of urgency. What we see normally in companies, when the company is in big crisis, only 20-30% sees that there's a big crisis, or they feel the sense of urgency. And what I feel from your reactions is nearly the same over here. So maybe 20-30% of the people in Iceland feel the real sense of urgency, and the other 60 or 70% are saying, oh, maybe it's going, next 2 years they will solve it. What's going wrong? So you have to think about yourself, what are you doing together to solve this issue? So this is the sense of urgency. Without sense of urgency, no change. We know all that, for instance, Apple was nearly bankrupt 2 or 3 times. And I think, how many people do you have an iPod or an iPhone, or can you put you have a product of a company who went bankrupt nearly 2 times. And during this crisis, new leadership came in, innovation came in, and they make the next leap. So think about that Icelandic will do. So don't stay in the past, go to the future and think about how we are going to do. So I'm going to talk with you the next phase about sense of excitement. How do we create a vision for your country? I did it for my country. I'm not a politician, I'm just an ordinary businessman who was thinking, my country is in a problem, so I have to do something because I don't have a lot of confidence in politicians. Is it different here in Iceland?
No.
That's great. Yeah, you can tell this all over the world because you should always ask. But now there's a big question that's coming in. Because in change, what's the second step? You have to top who has to do, but there should be also a guiding coalition. A guiding coalition of people who wants to guide the country through the next phase, and solve the problems. And I have a question here in this wonderful place. Who wants to be the guiding coalition for Iceland to go to the future? Can you put your hand on? Who wants to be the real guiding coalition? Yeah, please come in front. Please, here are 3. Right? No, please come on. Who puts his hand on? I really would like to see these people. It's important to see what's going to happen. Please stand up. Please stand up. Come on and come and sit. The guiding coalition in the front. Okay. I have a question to the people in the back rows. What do you think about these people? What do you think about this? Please, what do you think about this guiding coalition? These are the people who are going to solve the issues of Iceland. What do you think? Great? Brave. Optimists? Are you optimists or brave? Both. No, just normal people.
I say I'm trying to be realistic.
You want to go in the back seat or?
No, that's why I want to be here.
Okay, that's great. That's realism. I think it's important what you're saying. If you want to change a country, you need brave and optimistic people. But what you see, it's difficult to be brave and to step up and to say, I take the responsibility in changing my country. And you should do it. Ordinary people can change countries. Politicians are not going to change countries. Ordinary people like you are going to make the first step. And of course you're going to make also a lot of steps. But also think about people who are in the back row. What is their role in changing a country? And I was looking when you were talking to each other about the sense of urgency. A lot of people in the back row were sitting alone and just looking at the computer and reading papers. And I was thinking, what is that doing to a country when people are standing alone, sitting alone, and are not in interaction with other people? I think it's an obligation of all people in your country to sit together and work together to create a new vision, new strategy, and work hard to solve this crisis. And then you will solve it. But now we have this guiding coalition.